The 16th century dawned bright with promise across Europe. It was an age of exploration, artistic flourishing, and intellectual ferment. Yet, beneath this vibrant surface, a storm was brewing. It was a storm of religious upheaval, one that would shatter the old order and redraw the map of faith. At the heart of this tumult lay France, grappling with internal divisions and the winds of change. The French monarchy, symbol of stability, was caught in a web of religious dissent and political intrigue. France was a patchwork of provinces, each with its own customs and loyalties. The Catholic Church held immense sway, its influence interwoven with daily life. From grand cathedrals to village churches, the rhythms of faith marked time. Yet seeds of discontent were being sown. The Renaissance, with its emphasis on humanism, began to challenge traditional ways of thinking. The printing press allowed ideas to spread with unprecedented speed. In this atmosphere, the Reformation began to take root. Initiated by Martin Luther, the Reformation challenged the authority of the Pope and the Catholic Church. This call for reform resonated deeply with many in France. As word of Luther's teaching spread, it found fertile ground in France. The French monarchy soon realized the potential threat it posed. The Reformation was a challenge to the established order. It became clear that this was a fundamental shift in the religious landscape. The stage was set for a clash of ideologies and the birth of a new religious identity, the Huguenots. The term Huguenot emerged in the mid-16th century for French men and women embracing the Reformation. Its origins are unclear, but it may derive from a Swiss-German word for confederate, reflecting early clandestine gatherings. Drawn from all strata of society, Huguenots were influenced by John Calvin's teachings. Calvin's theology emphasized God's sovereignty, predestination, and a disciplined life. His teachings spread across France, igniting a passion for reform. Huguenots, though diverse, shared core Reformation tenets: Scripture's authority, priesthood of all believers, and salvation through grace. These beliefs set them on a collision course with the established order. For Huguenots, faith permeated every aspect of life, from family to education. They established schools and universities to educate their children in Protestantism. Forming tight-knit communities, they found strength in shared beliefs. These communities became bastions of Protestant thought and practice. Central to the Huguenot identity was a deep reverence for Scripture. They believed the Bible held ultimate authority in matters of faith and practice. This led them to translate the Bible into French, making it accessible to a wider audience. Literacy became a cornerstone of Huguenot life, encouraging personal engagement with Scripture. This fostered a vibrant intellectual culture, marked by lively debate and a thirst for knowledge. The Huguenots placed a strong emphasis on education, establishing schools and academies throughout France. These institutions became centers of intellectual ferment and innovation. Huguenot family life was characterized by piety, discipline, and a strong work ethic. This emphasis on family and community provided a strong support network, especially during persecution. Their commitment to faith, education, and community bonds fueled their resilience and enduring legacy. As the 16th century progressed, the chasm between Catholics and Protestants in France widened, turning whispers of dissent into roars of defiance. The French monarchy, caught in the crosscurrents of religious fervor and political maneuvering, found itself increasingly unable to contain the growing tensions. What began as a theological debate had morphed into a struggle for the soul of a nation. The very fabric of French society began to unravel, setting the stage for decades of conflict and bloodshed. The rapid spread of Protestantism, fueled by the printing press, alarmed the French authorities. The monarchy viewed this burgeoning movement as a direct threat to its authority. Reformers like John Calvin challenged the Pope's supremacy, undermining the established order. Deep-seated social and economic tensions simmered beneath the surface of French society. The peasantry, burdened by heavy taxes, found a voice in the egalitarian message of the Reformation? The rising merchant class saw in Protestantism a faith aligned with their entrepreneurial spirit. As the ranks of the Huguenots swelled, so did the anxieties of the ruling elite. The French court became a battleground for competing factions vying for influence over King Henri II. The ultra-Catholic Guise family saw in the suppression of Protestantism a path to consolidate their power. Others recognized the need for a more pragmatic approach, fearing excessive zeal would destabilize the kingdom. Caught between these opposing forces, Henri II vacillated, exacerbating the existing tensions. The year 1534 marked a turning point in the relationship between the French crown and its Protestant subjects. The affair of the placards ignited religious conflict that would engulf France for decades. On October 18, 1534, placards denouncing Catholic doctrine appeared in Paris. These posters accused the Catholic Church of idolatry. The audacity of this act sent shockwaves through French society. The Catholic establishment reacted swiftly and brutally. King Francis I unleashed a wave of persecution against the Huguenots. Protestant churches were destroyed, leaders arrested, and heretics burned. The streets of Paris ran red with the blood of martyrs. The affair of the placards marked a turning point in the French Reformation. It pushed the conflict from theological debate into open hostility. The crown's brutal response further radicalized the Huguenot movement. The seeds of discord had taken root, and France braced for a long conflict. The Massacre of Merindol in 1545 was a horrific event, highlighting the escalating religious intolerance in France. This unprovoked violence against the Waldensians foreshadowed the larger massacres of the French Wars of Religion. The Waldensians, a Protestant sect, lived in southeastern France, tolerated by their Catholic neighbors. Their simple Christianity and rejection of papal authority marked them as outsiders. In 1540, the Parliament of Aix-en-Provence condemned them as heretics. Catholic soldiers attacked their villages, resulting in a massacre. Homes were razed, and survivors were hunted or sold into slavery. The massacre shocked even some within the Catholic Church, exposing deep religious intolerance. The Massacre of Merindol was a chilling prelude to the French Wars of Religion, a series of 8 bloody conflicts that tore at the fabric of French society. Catholics and Protestants clashed, fueled by decades of suspicion and intolerance. The death of Henri II in 1559 left a power vacuum, exploited by the Guise family. The Huguenots, inspired by faith, took up arms, transforming into a formidable force. The wars left vast swathes of the countryside in ruins and deepened societal divides. The legacy of bitterness and resentment would take generations to heal. Section 2. The St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre, a Night of Terror. Amidst the chaos of the French Wars of Religion, the St. Bartholomew's Day Massacre stands out for its sheer barbarity. In August 1572, Paris witnessed a horrific event that shattered any hope of peace between Catholics and Protestants. Orchestrated by the Guise family and approved by King Charles IX, it began with an attempt on Admiral Gaspard de Coligny's life. Coligny, a key Huguenot leader, was targeted to derail peace efforts. The violence spiraled out of control, turning into a citywide pogrom. Catholic mobs, inflamed by rumors, attacked Huguenots, slaughtering men, women, and children. The massacre, a state-sanctioned act of violence, horrified Europe and prolonged the French Wars of Religion. Section 3. Strongholds of Resistance. The Huguenot Fortresses. In the face of relentless persecution, the Huguenots adapted to safeguard their communities and preserve their faith. They established hidden churches and underground networks. Strategic cities became fortified strongholds, symbols of Huguenot defiance. These fortresses were centers of Huguenot life, worship and commerce. Within their walls, they practiced their faith and educated their children. La Rochelle, a vital port city, became a haven for Protestants. It withstood multiple sieges, notably in 1627–28. Other strongholds included Montauban and Nimes, centers of learning and culture. These cities, though dispersed, were united by faith and resilience. Section 1. The Serpent in the Garden. Catherine de' Medici and the Politics of Faith. No figure in the tumultuous history of the French wars of religion is as complex, as contradictory, or as relentlessly fascinating as Catherine de' Medici. Thrust into French politics by fate, she became pivotal in the struggle between Catholics and Protestants. Born into the powerful Medici family, Catherine arrived in France in 1533 as a young bride. Her husband, Henri II, preferred his mistress, leaving Catherine with little power. However, fate had other plans. Henri II's death in 1559 and her son's deaths transformed Catherine into the ruler of France. As regent, she navigated religious strife, aiming to preserve the monarchy. Catherine's approach was pragmatic, negotiating with both sides to maintain stability. Her actions, often seen as duplicitous, earned her enmity from both sides. Catherine's most infamous act was her alleged role in the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre. While her involvement is debated, she condoned the massacre, seeing it as necessary to eliminate the Huguenot threat. The massacre only inflamed religious conflict, plunging France into another decade of bloodshed. Catherine's reign was marked by instability, intrigue, and violence. The French wars of religion continued, fueled by religious fanaticism and political opportunism. Catherine's sons turned against her and each other, weakening the monarchy. By her death in 1589, France was in ruins, its economy shattered, and its people divided. History has not been kind to Catherine de' Medici. She is often portrayed as a Machiavellian figure, a ruthless schemer. Her name has become synonymous with treachery and political manipulation. While there is some truth to this portrayal, it oversimplifies her character. Catherine was a product of her time, navigating a world where power was a zero-sum game. She was a devoted mother and a shrewd politician who believed her actions were in France's best interests. Ultimately, she failed to prevent the chaos she sought to contain. By 1589, France, ravaged by decades of religious conflict, found itself at a crossroads. The assassination of Henri III plunged the kingdom into turmoil, leaving a gaping hole in the seat of power. From this chaos emerged Henri of Navarre, a Protestant prince with a strong claim to the throne. Henri, a charismatic leader, represented hope for a nation weary of war. However, his ascension was far from assured. The Catholic League opposed his claim, plunging France into more religious wars. Henri sought to bridge the divide between Catholics and Protestants. He understood that absolute religious uniformity was a recipe for endless bloodshed. France needed a path that acknowledged religious pluralism and coexistence. In 1593, Henri IV converted to Catholicism, declaring, "Paris is worth a mass." This strategic conversion removed a major obstacle to his claim and paved the way for peace. Henri demonstrated a genuine commitment to religious tolerance. He recognized the rights of his former co-religionists to practice their faith. Henri IV turned to healing the wounds of a divided nation. True peace required recognizing the rights and freedoms of all. This vision found its expression in the Edict of Nantes, redefining the religious landscape of France. Signed in April 1598, the Edict of Nantes recognized religious pluralism, aiming for peaceful coexistence between Catholics and Protestants in France. It granted Huguenots freedom of conscience, public worship in designated areas, and access to public office and education. Despite restrictions, it was hailed as a triumph of moderation over fanaticism. For Henri IV, it was the cornerstone of his vision for a united and prosperous France. The Edict of Nantes brought peace and stability to France. Huguenots reintegrated into society, rebuilding churches and businesses. They faced mistrust and discrimination, but flourished culturally. Huguenots contributed significantly to France's prosperity. The Edict of Nantes held for nearly a century, a fragile testament to religious coexistence. Under Louis XIV, the balance of power began to unravel. His reign marked a return to assertive and intolerant Catholicism. The Huguenots were seen as a threat to Louis's vision. The erosion of Huguenot freedoms began subtly. Their temples were demolished, gatherings monitored. The campaign against the Huguenots was relentless. Old prejudices resurfaced, fueled by fear and ignorance. The Huguenots were cast as outsiders. Their presence in France became increasingly precarious. The erosion of tolerance set the stage for the revocation of the Edict of Nantes. In 1685, Louis XIV revoked the Edict of Nantes, outlawing Protestantism in France. This act set in motion a mass exodus with profound consequences. The revocation unleashed persecution and violence, devastating French society. Huguenot temples were destroyed, pastors exiled, and families torn apart. The economic consequences were severe, as France lost skilled artisans and professionals. The exodus weakened France both economically and morally. Faced with conversion or exile, hundreds of thousands of Huguenots chose exile. This mass exodus scattered the Huguenots across the globe. Huguenot refugees brought valuable knowledge and expertise to their new homes. They established businesses, revitalized industries, and contributed to intellectual life. England became a major destination for Huguenot refugees. They settled in cities like London and Canterbury, establishing thriving communities. Huguenot silk weavers revitalized the English silk industry. Huguenot artisans enriched English craftsmanship with their skills. The Netherlands also welcomed large numbers of Huguenot refugees. Amsterdam became a major center of Huguenot life. Huguenot merchants played a significant role in the Dutch East India Company. The Huguenot Diaspora extended to North America, South Africa, and the Caribbean. Huguenot settlers played a role in founding cities like New York and Charleston. The Huguenot Diaspora serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Faced with conversion or exile, hundreds of thousands of Huguenots chose exile. This mass exodus scattered the Huguenots across the globe. Huguenot refugees brought valuable knowledge and expertise to their new homes. They revitalized industries and contributed to intellectual life. England became a major destination for Huguenot refugees. They settled in cities like London and Canterbury. Huguenot silk weavers revitalized the English silk industry. Huguenot artisans enriched English craftsmanship. The Netherlands also welcomed large numbers of Huguenot refugees. Amsterdam became a major center of Huguenot life. Huguenot merchants played a significant role in the Dutch East India Company. The Huguenot Diaspora extended to North America, South Africa, and the Caribbean. Huguenot settlers played a role in founding cities like New York and Charleston. The Huguenot Diaspora serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The Huguenot exodus proved to be a blessing for many nations. Scattered across the globe, the Huguenots carried their faith, skills, and work ethic. They left an indelible mark on the social, economic, and cultural landscapes. In England, Huguenots revitalized the silk industry with their craftsmanship. They established themselves in various trades, contributing to the economy. Huguenot artisans enriched English craftsmanship with their distinctive styles. In North America, Huguenot settlers shaped the social and religious landscape. They brought a strong work ethic, commitment to education, and belief in religious freedom. Huguenot communities established churches, schools, and businesses. The Huguenot Diaspora retained a strong sense of shared history and identity. They maintained their language, customs, and faith. Huguenot churches served as focal points for community life. These communities ensured that the Huguenot story would not be forgotten. The Huguenot exodus proved to be a blessing for many nations. Scattered across the globe, the Huguenots carried their faith, skills, and work ethic. They left an indelible mark on the social, economic, and cultural landscapes. In England, Huguenots revitalized the silk industry with their craftsmanship. They established themselves in various trades, contributing to the economy. Huguenot artisans enriched English craftsmanship with their distinctive styles. In North America, Huguenot settlers shaped the social and religious landscape. They brought a strong work ethic, commitment to education, and belief in religious freedom. Huguenot communities established churches, schools, and businesses. The Huguenot diaspora retained a strong sense of shared history and identity. They maintained their language, customs, and faith. Huguenot churches served as focal points for community life. These communities ensured that the Huguenot story would not be forgotten. The Huguenot exodus proved to be a blessing for many nations. Scattered across the globe, the Huguenots carried their faith, skills, and work ethic. They left an indelible mark on the social, economic, and cultural landscapes. In England, Huguenots revitalized the silk industry with their craftsmanship. They established themselves in various trades, contributing to the economy. Huguenot artisans enriched English craftsmanship with their distinctive styles. In North America, Huguenot settlers shaped the social and religious landscape. They brought a strong work ethic, commitment to education, and belief in religious freedom. Huguenot communities established churches, schools, and businesses. The Huguenot diaspora retained a strong sense of shared history and identity. They maintained their language, customs, and faith. Huguenot churches served as focal points for community life. These communities ensured that the Huguenot story would not be forgotten. The Huguenot story explores themes of persecution, migration, and resilience. Their journey raises questions about memory, identity, and relevance today. The Huguenot experience resonates with other persecuted groups. Their struggle mirrors countless refugees' experiences. Their story highlights the human cost of intolerance. In Huguenot history, Jean Cavalier stands out as a testament to the indomitable spirit of a people facing relentless persecution. Born in 1681 in the Cevennes, Cavalier's life was marked by daring escapes, military cunning, and unwavering faith. From a baker's son to a Huguenot leader, his journey embodied resistance. The revocation of the Edict of Nantes in 1685 cast a long shadow over his childhood. The Cevennes became a hunting ground for the king's soldiers, terrorizing Protestant communities. These experiences ignited in him a fierce determination to resist and protect his people. At 21, Cavalier's life took a dramatic turn with the Camisard Rebellion. The rebellion transformed him into a revered leader and a symbol of Huguenot defiance. Cavalier, though lacking formal military training, possessed a natural charisma and a keen tactical mind. He quickly rose through the ranks of the Camisard rebels, inspiring his followers to acts of extraordinary bravery. Utilizing guerrilla tactics and their knowledge of the Cevennes terrain, they inflicted defeats on the king's forces. Their victories sent shockwaves through the French court and inspired hope in Protestants across France. The Camisard Rebellion, though ultimately crushed, was a testament to the enduring power of faith and the spirit of a people fighting for their religious freedom. Cavalier became a legend, synonymous with Huguenot resistance and the struggle for religious liberty. Despite facing a larger enemy, Cavalier and his camisards waged an effective campaign. Their victories captured the imagination of Protestants, turning Cavalier into a symbol of resistance. The French army, under the Duke of Berwick, responded with brutal reprisals. Cavalier negotiated a peace treaty in 1704, marking the end of the rebellion. Though forced to flee France, Cavalier continued to advocate for Huguenot rights. His legend lives on as a testament to the enduring power of faith and the courage to resist oppression. The Huguenot story is a poignant reminder of the enduring human quest for freedom, freedom of conscience, worship, and to live by one's beliefs. Their journey, marked by peace and brutal persecution, offers a lens to examine faith, power, and identity. From their emergence during the Reformation to their flight after the Edict of Nantes, the Huguenots left a mark on France and beyond. Their resilience and contributions to their adopted homelands testify to the human spirit's power to adapt and overcome. The Huguenot story transcends time, resonating with those facing persecution and displacement. Their legacy reminds us to safeguard religious freedom and promote tolerance. May their story inspire us to build a world where freedom of conscience is a right for all.